Hey there, good to see you, good to be seen again. Took a little time off this afternoon, came up here to Mount Angel. Just felt the need for some time and a place to just be quiet, do some praying, reflecting, journaling, kind of get grounded again. And thanks be to God, it's been all of that the last couple of hours. I want to share with you something else from Paul's letters to Timothy. Earlier this week, I shared 2 Timothy 4:5, and today, this afternoon, I want to share 2 Timothy, I think it's 4:2. But Paul writes to Timothy, and he goes, "Preach the word, be prepared in season and out of season, rebuke, correct, and encourage with great patience and careful instruction." This verse for years has been my marching orders. This is my job description on Sunday morning. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I found myself gravitating back to this verse again in the last several weeks. And here's Paul, and he says to Timothy, "Preach the word, be prepared in season and out of season." And Paul realizes, he knows that there will be times where it's easy to preach, times where it's hard to preach, times where people want to hear your preaching, possibly times where they don't want to hear your preaching, times when you're popular, times when you're not popular, times when you're tired and worn out, times when you're just full of the Spirit and have so much energy and passion. There's a lot of seasons in preaching, especially if you stay in one place for a long time. You go through many, many different seasons. And Paul says, don't forget, preach the word. Be prepared in season and out of season. And he says, preach the word. He doesn't say preach your opinions. He doesn't say preach your viewpoints. He doesn't say preach what everybody wants to hear. He doesn't say preach what's PC in the culture, the surrounding culture. He doesn't say preach what the culture is thinking and where the culture is moving. He says preach the word. And so I've tried over the course of my life to be a scripture-centered, scripture-grounded preacher, teacher, communicator. Not always been easy. I've not always succeeded. But those are my marching orders. And then Paul goes on to say, as you do that, there's three things that's going to happen. Sometimes you're going to have to rebuke people. Nobody likes to be rebuked. I don't like to be rebuked. But he says there are times and places where people need to be rebuked. And he's saying where people need to be confronted for their wayward ways, their wayward words, their wayward attitudes, for their disobedience. There are times where people need to be rebuked. And then he goes on to say there are also times where people need to be corrected. You know, people have kind of veered off path. People have taken the wrong turn. People have become confused in which way's up and which way's down. And so you seek to provide correction and lead them back to the center of the path. And then encourage. Who knows anybody who doesn't need encouragement? We all need encouragement. We all value encouragement, including the preacher. And so Paul says, in whatever you're doing, as you're preaching the word in season and out of season, and while you're rebuking and while you may be correcting, make sure you encourage people. And I hope and pray that I have been someone who has brought encouragement to people. And then he says you do this with great patience. Great patience. Man, I could talk about that for a long, long time. The fact of the matter is we all change very, very slowly. We love the stories of the quick change, the spontaneous being ambushed by God, the addiction that falls away, the bad attitude that just vanishes into thin air. I mean, we all want things to happen now and to happen completely and wholly. And that does happen sometimes. But my experience has been, and my observing of people has been, and my reading of the spiritual formation literature down through the centuries of the church, is that the majority of us change slowly over time. And so the preacher needs to have great patience. People are not going to change overnight. Excuse me. And then lastly, Paul says, with careful instruction. Careful instruction. Know the word well. Know your setting well. Know your context well. Know the culture well. Know the people you are preaching to well. And put all those together and make sure the instruction, the teaching, your preaching is being done carefully, in a manner that people can hear and understand, in a manner that people want to obey and want to follow and feel some inspiration. I just love these words of Paul to Timothy. Preach the word. Be prepared in season and out of season. Correct, rebuke and correct and encourage with great patience and careful instruction. There you have it. That's what you need to hold me to. That's how you can pray for me. And I hope you do. Been good being with you again today. God bless. Until next time. Bye-bye.